Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. So Josh, we're kind of still in the middle of this little lukewarm open series that I'm doing. That's just like we got no time to make a campaign, but we want to make one anyways. 4 people came to us. They were like, make a campaign. We want to play D&D. And so we sit down without any world building, without anything, and make a campaign, or at least a few sessions. And so we currently have the party travels and sees like an airship crash and kill pretty much everybody on board except for one person, and that person hands them some sort of item. This item is then, I don't want to say wanted, but somebody in the town that is nearest by wants this item and ends up saving them, maybe not saving them, but helping them out in some sort of difficult situation they find themselves within the town.
Well, no. So what happens is this person who wants it is one of the first people to arrive at the scene, and he or she is a well-known person in the community. When they get there, the guards get there, they see these people just coming out of looking at or going into kind of the to check if anybody was alive. But for them, they believe, oh, they probably shot it down, and now they're just picking through the rubbish, the wreckage. This person vouches for them, says, no, they didn't do it, because he knows that, or she knows that if they get in jail, he's not going to be able to find the item. They need to follow
issue
them.
That I have is, why wouldn't he just like kill the party at the ship if he shows up on the scene? Is it because
they're showing up at pretty much the exact same time as the guards?
Oh, okay. So
he wasn't going to kill the guards and ruin his reputation.
Got it. Okay. So for this little lukewarm open, I want to create a combat, because we've never really done that at all. We've never really sat down and built a combat, and it might not be the most interesting, but if it's short, it's short. But I kind of want to sit and build a combat, and I think the first question we have to ask is what level
is the party?
What level do we want the party to be?
5.
5? Is that like your favorite level for a party? Like
no.
That kind of in that mid-range?
I mean, it's a nice mid-range.
Yeah,
it has a lot of options.
Spells.
It has a lot of options when it comes to monster types, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I mean, I'm totally fine with them being 5th level. So then the next question is, where do we see this combat taking place, and what happens at this combat? Is it at the airship? Do they have to fight things at the airship before the guards come? Is it on the way?
Let's have this be afterwards. So they're leaving the city. They get attacked by what they think are just random bandits, but they're actually people trying to kill them, hired by this guy.
So this guy hires a group of people to fight the party after they're leaving the town?
Yeah.
Okay. My thought would be, is there any way we can make it like before the town or earlier? Like, so what if I guess the guards would escort them back though, so there wouldn't really be a need to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be interesting if like he meets them there, they have the item that he wants, and then he runs back to the town before they get there to send his squad out to fight them. But if they're with the guards, then it wouldn't make sense. It would probably have to be after.
Yeah, like there's ways to get it to happen before, but we would need to change the idea of the story, and we don't have time to do that.
Yeah. So, okay, totally fine. So why do they leave the town and they still have the item in their possession, I'm assuming, right? That's the idea?
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to give them anything that they have to go somewhere with this item, or is it just they just keep this item for a little bit?
Keep the item for a little bit. Like they were told, like, I don't know what they were told. Maybe it's like meet this person or whatnot. So they're just like, we have no idea where this person is, or even if we want to deliver this. So we're just going to hold it while we do our normal stuff. And maybe they run into whatever happens then is a long ways away.
Cool. Okay. I like this. So they head out of the town, and they are ambushed by a group of bandits. So here's my question to you. How do we make this an interesting combat And what exactly would we want these bandits to be? Do we want them just to be normal bandits, normal humanoids, like level 3 characters or whatever, or like from the monster manual, the bandit stuff? Or are we doing something different and special?
I mostly use stat blocks from the game. I use the D&D Beyond encounter builder, which is really well balanced. And I go up to, I make sure all my encounters are deadly, but like just barely. Not super deadly, just barely in the deadly range. Because that always provides a good challenge for my party. Now, I do have to be a little bit of behind the scenes kind of knowledge. No, not adjusting. I just have to have a knowledge myself of, like, if I look at a stat block, I can tell immediately if I'm like, no, that would destroy my players. Like, so there is a little bit of actual like game knowledge that is required to kind of set up these kind of hard encounters that are not going to destroy your party.
Okay, no, yeah, oh, for sure. Because I know, like, in 5th level, so if we take 5th level, for example, and we at least reasonably you throw them against one CR5 monster, like we've kind of talked about before, it's not going to go well. They're going to absolutely destroy it, right? It's not even going to be a contest. So I think what I want this combat to be interesting, not necessarily in the way that the mechanics work, but in what they fight. So I love the idea of them fighting like a bunch of bandits, right? So we're talking like 5 or 6 bandits, but I want there to be something that's with them that is a cause for suspicion. Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
So that it kind of like something that encourages the players to think like, well, why was this here?
Well, that's easy.
So
they have a spellcaster. They have a spellcaster with them that is of the magic university of the area. That like it does, like, this is like a rich magic school. Like, there is no reason for one of these rich magic students to be working as a bandit. Like, that doesn't happen. Which would immediately give the people the suspicion of, these are not normal bandits or bandits at all. And have the guy be like a super like supporter of this school, so he gives them a lot of money.
Yeah, maybe like a donor, like a big donor.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So my issues that I have with that is a spellcaster is fun and is interesting, but like to me, and this might be me thinking, but it's like almost a too direct connection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, oh, spellcaster from the university, who is the, I guess they could blame the university as well, but I like the idea of having a connection or like something that's there that makes the party think like, well, why are these people, why are these people with what they have? Is there anything else outside of is there anything that you can think of like outside of like a human, like a humanoid race? And maybe like, I mean, the obvious classic example would be like a mind flayer, but that's way, way outlandish, but something that's like not necessarily a direct giveaway,
what is this?
But something that is.
Like, is this
I'm
like
just trying to think of.
Are you saying one of the creatures fighting, one of the people fighting them is this?
Yeah, or like, one of the creatures fighting them is this, or they control one of these things, or something along those lines. Because I want it to be.
If you want it to be something that they're controlling, then you could have it be a blink dog, and like have like blink dogs be like hard to like you had to be super rich to own a blink dog type thing, and so bandits would never have them. Or make one of the enemies a doppelganger, or make all the enemies lead back to an oblex.
I like the idea of bandits having tools that they wouldn't necessarily have access to throughout the world. That money has bought them. That doesn't seem to make sense. So maybe.
So I was never thinking of these people as bandits. I think they're dressed up as bandits. I think they're assassins.
Agreed. 100% agreed. That's what I'm thinking as well. And so I think it'd be interesting that like, they're dressed up as bandits, but some of them maybe have like, muskets or something, right? Like something that doesn't make sense. And then like, I love the idea of maybe magical creatures like a blink dog that normal people just don't have or don't have access to or train. Or death dogs. I've used those in my campaign. And death dogs, they're like,
I think
mutated.
they might be a little high CR. Blink
Death
dogs
dogs
are 1/4. Yes, I guess they're only 1.
Death dogs are 1, I think.
Yeah, they are CR1. I'm looking it up right now.
And so it could be really fun if they have, or even like a hellhound. Hellhounds are like CR5,
exactly.
right?
That's what I was mixing them up with. Death dogs are just the 2-headed dogs. I thought they were the 2-headed fire-breathing dogs, which they are not. That's a hellhound.
That's a hellhound. But it could also be interesting to have a hellhound too. How strong are they in D&D? What's their CR? It's like 5 or
a hellhound is 3, so it would be doable.
3. So I think it'd be really fun if we had like 6 bandits and a hellhound and maybe like 2 death dogs. I mean, it's a pretty brutal combat, but I think it's definitely.
What if it's 1?
What do you mean?
What if it's 1 bandit and he's not even fighting? Like, he stands off in the distance. He just kind of does this whistle, and then a hellhound, death dogs, and a blink dog show up.
What if instead of a bandit, it's the guy, and he's like disguised, and he whistles these dogs?
That would work too. I was kind of hoping that I would want to give them a chance of catching this bandit. Because I think the idea of like, what are you doing? Who are you? Like, them questioning this person would be an interesting encounter if they can catch him.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So maybe like a bandit. It'd be interesting too if you made it somebody that they were like, maybe this guy's like assistant or something, right? Or somebody that was like they've seen before with him.
See, I don't want to give it away immediately. I don't want to give it away. I think they have to either roll a persuasion check to get that kind of knowledge of who this person is, or like I don't want to give it away without them having to do something.
Yeah, I mean, my thought would be like maybe it's like somebody who's like lesser known in his like office or his or in his like little personal guard troop or something that you don't really mention too much in the beginning. And you just describe like what his guards look like, or like a guard that kind of looks like, and then if they remember the description that you gave of these 2 random guards that were with him, and you describe this person again, and if somebody maybe had taken notes or they like had remembered, then it would be a reward of like, oh well, wait, this description kind of matches at least a little bit the one that maybe we were given beforehand that wasn't super important. That could be an interesting thing, but that also could give it away really easy. So I think I'm okay with either, really, like just a random bandit that he hired, a random dude he hired. Do you think you would like include like a letter or a note on him?
I don't think
like
he's
if the party
stupid. chases
him down. Yeah, but I don't think it would be like his signed name, but it would be like a writ of like purchase or a writ of like
I think
agreement that he was hired.
I would say have it be a writ of ownership for the dogs, and have them be like some ridiculous price, like you're like, there is no way some random bandit had the money to buy these 1,000 gold piece dogs or whatever.
You could also do along these lines. You could also do like some sort of weird magical collars that like dissolve and break when the creature dies or something. So like there was some sort of magical trinket that was used to control these creatures that you normally couldn't be able to control.
Mm-hmm.
And that would also kind of be like a, wait, that doesn't make any sense. That has to be something that is outside of this guy's ability to own. So either of those I think works really well. What do we see? Just really quick, because I know it's going to start getting long, but what do we see like the terrain of this combat? Do we see it like they're walking through like a valley and he whistles and these dogs, a forest?
That's what I was always picturing.
What if you did like a because like if you're trying to set up an ambush, like if I'm in the mind of the person who's trying to ambush these people, I'd want it to be in a place where like they couldn't escape, they would or have the least options to escape. So maybe like a wooded forest that kind of goes through like maybe a canyon or like a riverbed or like something like that, and so that they're kind of trying to cross, and then these dogs come running and attacking them. Could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
or like a cliff where they get stuck in like a little cliff, like a little like next to a cliff, and they can't really escape but fight these dogs. I think that would be interesting too. So cool. All right, I think that's going to be it for me.
Cool.
I think that's our little combat, and I think that will give them a little bit of a challenge, give them a little bit of intrigue, where it's like, well, who the heck is this guy, and why does he have these things under his control? And then continue the party onward.
Yeah. Well, onto the topic. This week we are talking about an individual known as Elaith Craulnober. His character in this story is from the book by Elaine Cunningham called Elf Shadow, released in 1991, and it is the first book in a series called Songs and Swords. So just spoiler warning for that. He was a very interesting individual, this Elaith Craulnober. Now, I didn't need to say his full name again, but I wanted to because that last name is confusing.
It is.
It's Craulnober. Craulnober.
Craulnober. Boy.
He is a...
I wonder what the origins of that are. What the heck?
He is a moon elf adventurer / crime lord that resides in Waterdeep. He is an infamous rogue, but he was not always so. He was actually born a noble in the island elven nation of Evermeet.
Evermeet?
M-E-E-T, not M-E-A-T.
Okay. Well, even still, it's weird.
Evermeet is going to be our topic next week, so hopefully it's not too weird.
Oh, boy.
Evermeet started as a bunch of elves deciding that they wanted to literally take some land from elven heaven, Arvandor, and bring it to the material plane and use it as a sort of homeland for elves. They'd protect it and isolate it from the rest of the world. It's a crazy idea and really interesting location, and so we're going to talk about it next week. This elven realm that became a stronghold of the elves through wars and other events was where Elaith was born and raised, and he rose to the position of captain of the king's guard and was even betrothed to the princess Amnestria. In the end, he was given an artifact of the elves that he was inheriting from his grandfather. This item was called a moonblade. There are quite a few different moonblades, and they're all very powerful. This moonblade rejected him, seeing as he was evil of heart. Even though he'd done nothing bad up until this point, it could see like his true feelings in his heart. This disgraced him in the eyes of the elves, and he was shamed for it, losing his betrothal, and in sorrow he went to Waterdeep, leaving his home.
No, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Question. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've done stuff on Waterdeep, and Waterdeep is a pretty crime-ridden city, right?
It kind of goes through phases, and even though, like, right now, where the current timeline is in Waterdeep history, it is ruled by the crime is one group, and that group is incredibly violent and devastating to any other criminals that try to set up shop. So yes, it is crime-ridden, but it's focused.
Okay.
And it's all under Xanathar, who wrote Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
What is he? He's
a beholder. Yeah, he's a beholder that has a goldfish that he loves. And literally, the goldfish has died probably 15 times. Because goldfish don't live very long. But they can't let Xanathar know that he's died, so they just kind of quickly switch it out, and they have a bunch of goldfish that look like that goldfish on the side, because he would go mad.
Just raise him from the dead.
Because he would go mad and destroy the world, or at least destroy Waterdeep, if he knew that this creature died. I think it's the first encounter, Waterdeep Dragon Heist or something like that. Xanathar is a major player in that. And there are rules written in that they, like, a whole section on this is what Xanathar will do if his fish dies. So killing his fish,
it's probably not great.
Oh no, it's not. Killing his fish is actually a strategy to in that campaign.
You murder his goldfish.
Yep. Just so that he goes mad and you can, take advantage of it.
That's got to be pretty hard, though. I can't imagine. He probably keeps a close eye on it.
Yeah, it's definitely a heist to get in there.
That's so funny.
He surprisingly began to enjoy his time in Waterdeep, as he never realized all the restrictions that he'd had previously on his life. The freedom that he had in Waterdeep was incredible. And during this time, he became a rogue and fell in with a band of mercenaries called the Company of the Claw. This was an even further separation between his past life and his current, and he reveled in the kind of freedom that he had in this mercenary group. After his first Moonblade rejected him, he became obsessed, searching everywhere for a functioning Moonblade, determined to have one. He gathered information on every hoard of wealth and magic that he could find. He even went so far as to use a spell, not in 5th edition, called Mind Ream, and extracted knowledge forcefully from people's minds to learn as much as he could.
I know there's a lot of different Moonblades, right? Like you said. Mm-hmm. And do they all do different things, or do they all do the same thing?
They all do different things. Slightly different.
Okay.
Another person who we're literally about to meet, Arlinn Moonblade, has another Moonblade that does different things than his.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Eventually, his spies began to increase, like the people that he was having kind of look for all of these other hordes of wealth. And they got to such a number that he needed to have more help managing it. And just in almost no time, he began to kind of build an empire of crime. And his reputation began to grow as a merciless assassin and a intelligence source, as he seemed to always know what was going on around. He was so well known that a bard even wrote a ballad about him called Silent Strikes the Serpent. Now, at this point, he ran into two interesting individuals, Arlinn Moonblade and Danilo Thawne, when they came to Waterdeep. Arlinn was actually Amnestria's daughter, the princess that he was originally betrothed to. But Amnestria had gotten herself exiled and changed her name. So I didn't say that he knew, so he might not even know that that person was technically the daughter of the person he was originally betrothed to.
Oh, interesting. That's awkward.
Yeah. Arlinn had gotten a Moonblade passed down to her from her mother. Arlinn and Danilo were on a mission to discover a killer known as the Harper Killer, which we talked about the Harpers previously. The Harpers are like a guild of do-gooders that kind of worked throughout all of Faerun.
And the Harper Killer murdered them, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, he was killing Harpers across Faerun as well. And so they were like, we got to find out who is killing all these Harpers, and they were on the mission. Now I love a good murder mystery. There's some interesting things where Danilo was originally sent to just keep an eye on Arlinn, and Arlinn accidentally took him hostage and forced him to come with her to Waterdeep. And so he was keeping an eye on her, but she forced him to come with her. And he was like, so she like kept him wrapped up and kept a blade to him, like, oh, I got to stop him from running away. He never wanted to run away. He was keeping tabs on her. It was just kind of a crazy random happenstance. He was at a bar watching her, and she took him hostage.
That's so awkward.
I mean, it made his job way easier.
Oh, for sure. But also, I don't even know, like, if I was in that situation, if I was, like, paid to watch someone and they, like, ended up abducting me and kidnapping me.
You're like, hey, I'm keeping an eye on them no matter what.
You told me. You told me to keep an eye on her. You didn't tell me how.
Yeah. Now, Danilo was a Waterdavian.
A water what?
A Waterdavian. So it means he's from Waterdeep. That's just what they're called. They're called Waterdavians. So he knew the tales of Elaith and didn't trust him. but in the end was proven wrong as Elaith used his skills and influence to help them learn that the assassin was actually after Arlen's blade, since it had magic in it that allowed it to teleport to Evermeet, though it was currently broken. In the end, altogether, they defeated the Harper assassin and stopped him learning that he planned to usurp the throne of Evermeet and had been killing off survivors of the royal family. Later in life, Danilo Thawne and Elaith sought a powerful artifact. Despite still hating each other, they adventured together with another group to get this artifact. With their party, they were able to get to it. And in the end, Elaith tried to steal it, but Danilo was able to convince him by reminding him of their deal and all that they had done together. And soon after, Elaith actually ended up defending Danilo from harm, becoming gravely wounded in the process.
Oh, no.
Now, the artifact that they were getting was a special harp, and they both had their own reasons for getting it. Elaith had just had a child and wanted to use the harp to rebuild his Moonblade so that he could give it to her.
Give it to his child?
Well, I mean, when she grew up, like, have it be a thing that, not just, like, give it to his infant child.
Happy first birthday! Here's your very own Moonblade.
Danilo sought it to stop a sorceress that was wreaking havoc. When they got it, Elaith restored his Moonblade, and in doing so, had it when he was gravely wounded in defending Danilo. This act of saving Danilo gained Elaith the worthiness that he previously lacked, and he activated his Moonblade. And in doing so, it healed him, preventing his death. Now, Elaith did more things, and there's more stuff I could talk about him with his like weapons and powers and abilities and whatnot. But I think we should stop there. And originally, I was going to have the topic was going to be about all three: Arlen, Moonblade, Danilo Thawne, and Elaith. But once I started researching Elaith, I was like, there is so much stuff here. I don't think I could do all three. I don't think that's possible.
No. Yeah.
So
then
what I want us to create is an adventuring party, because I think it's always fun when because I mean, the whole idea of these D&D worlds is that they're full of adventuring parties. So you're just one of many. And I think it's really fun to have another interesting, weird, backstoried adventuring party that your party meets partway through.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and well, maybe not. I was going to say it's major spoilers, so I probably won't. So never mind.
No.
It's major spoilers. And you know the spoilers, but the audience might not know the spoilers. Yeah, you absolutely know the spoilers, but the audience might not, and it involves Critical Role. But I think I'm not going to...
Oh, it's Critical Role. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Never mind.
I think tell us more about your campaign. I thought I was going to learn stuff ahead of the other party.
Oh, no.
And
I do have some pretty fun adventuring parties that happened in campaign 1, but nothing that's been like a major theme or element within any of my campaigns. Have you had any cool adventuring parties in your group that I did. You guys have discovered?
And they kind of came up occasionally after that, and it was really sad. I mean, I'm laughing, but it was really sad because the adventuring party was, if you've ever seen Fullmetal Alchemist or read it,
heck yeah.
I had a wizard that was pretty much Armstrong.
Oh no.
And he was fantastic. He was so good. He was a Goliath. It was fantastic. And he was traveling with another wizard. Actually, I think, yeah, it was another wizard. And the other wizard was like kind of younger, kind of an apprentice of his. The next time they met the party, it was just the Armstrong character, because the kid died.
Oh no. Whoa. That took a dark turn.
Yeah. And then later on, they hear this loud crack across the sky, and they're like miles away from where it happened. But they hear this, and later on, they hear news of this adventurer had done this thing, and that's what that crack across the sky was.
Okay.
And it was actually like calling forth a historical giant weapon from actual D&D lore.
Oh, dang.
It was like a giant's weapon that it's it was super powerful, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna. What?
Your Armstrong character wizard? Did you like flavor his spells? Like he would punch the air or something, and they would shoot a fireball?
No, he would he would throw rocks into the air, punch them, and they would turn into the catapult, like the spell. Yeah, they get everything awesome. He did. Everything he did was flavored like Armstrong.
Did he have Did he actually have a lot of strength, or no?
Oh yeah.
That's so great. I need to make a wizard who's a buff wizard.
But he was fantastic. But so he called this like legendary giant artifact axe, and you're supposed to just be able to say these words of like this, come to me, like this. It's this whole poem thing, and if you say it in your time of need, and you're a giant, it will come.
Ah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And so since he was a half giant, he was able to do it when he was about to die. It's called Sky Cleaver.
Did you say it was called the Sky Cleaver?
Yes.
It's a pretty cool name. Is it actually? It's an actual D&D item.
Yes. So here, let me just read what it can do, because I had to level this into my game, and we had some fun moments with it. Sky Cleaver was said to be able to cleave anything, both physical and non-physical. For example, not only could it cut through any material, but also it could separate the truth of a matter from the falsehood.
What? How does that work?
Yeah. So the player would have to just declare what he's trying to cut. So like he would meet people that were possessed of demons or whatever, and he would say, "I'm going to try and cut the possession." And so he would have to roll to beat the AC of the thing. And every time he severed a connection, he took a level of exhaustion. Even if he failed, even if he didn't hit the AC, he still took a level of exhaustion. And we had some fun moments. It was never overused. It could have gone really bad. It didn't.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things I could do that would really ruin the campaign.
It was given to a player who I knew wouldn't destroy it, because he was the only half giant that we had in our campaign as a player.
Which then you could do some fun things. Like, he's a half giant, so he can only like do half of the things that the blade does. You could have done something like that too. But anyways, the only adventuring party I've had, so I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I did a thing called Champions Clash, where it's like you fight in an arena against a bunch of people.
Yes, and we have talked about this.
If you survive, you win. Yeah, so I had a pretty fun adventuring party that was a reoccurring thing that they met during Champions Clash. So that was fun, because they got to go through a whole entire like dungeon with them. They got to fight them in Champions Clash. They beat them barely. It was really cool combat. The only reason they even won, there was still 4 members of that adventuring party left. I can't remember what they're called. Like I can't remember what they were called, but the Briar gang, or I don't remember. Anyways, but they in Spell Clash or in Champions Clash, the only reason they beat my party, or like our party beat their party, was because one of my players, Anna, all 4 of the adventuring party was still alive, and all of the PCs were down except for 1. Mm-hmm. But she cast a clutch sleep spell because they were all low, and they all fell asleep.
That's awesome.
So she rolled really well, and all the adventuring party, the entire adventuring party, fell asleep, and she was able to revive all of her friends. And then
did I ever tell you about my fantastic player's use of the sleep spell?
No.
So they just cast darkness on an area. The 2 enemies that were in front and behind him both could see through it, but he couldn't. And he was just devastated. He was like, I'm gonna die. I have to do something. I have to like get these guys off me. I have to do something that hits both of them and gets them to stop. He knew they were already pretty beaten up as he saw that before the darkness was cast. So he's like, okay, I'm going to cast sleep. And so he does, overtop himself so that he hits both the one in front and behind. He had the lowest hit points out of the three of them. So he put himself to sleep. But there was the darkness, and by the time he woke up, the darkness was gone. So nobody saw that he put himself to sleep. But we all in the meta know.
And he put the other two asleep too? He put the two bad guys asleep?
No, the bad guys, no, they were fine.
That's so awkward.
Because it killed him. It had enough HP to hurt him, but not enough to get.
I love that kind of stuff. That either those really fun clutch plays or like the really awkward, funny.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out type thing.
Yeah, ours was really hype moment because they were like going to lose. It was 4v1. She was really hurt, and they were all kind of in the arena. There was like a bunch of like broken buildings and like pillars and like terrain to hide behind. And they had all kind of like hid in this building and were kind of like using it as like a bunker. Mm-hmm. And she cast it right inside the building and got all of them, and they all fell unconscious. It was so good by like 2 HP or something like that. All of them fell unconscious. It was super, super epic. And then they end up winning and getting a ton of money.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then they found those guys like over and over again in the campaign, a few different times, finding different items and loot and stuff like that. So it was really fun. But I have never had anything that was like, a major thing for adventuring parties. So I think this might be kind of fun. I don't even have that much even in my world right now, I don't really have a lot of famous adventuring parties. I have famous people that have done incredible things, but I don't really have a lot of adventuring parties.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you thinking? What do you think these guys did? What do you think they are doing? Old time, dead time, alive time, young? What
I think they're alive. I was thinking more ones that would be like
current.
Well, I was more meaning that they would like they would parallel the party. So they'd be around the same age and same.
Okay.
But maybe you could either do it in a way of, oh, they're the same age, but they've also done like 30 things more than you have, and they're like well known and well respected throughout the world, and you guys aren't. Or you could do they're the same level as you guys.
I kind of want so. I have never done this in a campaign, but I think it'd be really, really fun to do like an adversarial adventuring campaign, like an adventuring group campaign, where like
to unite all people within our nation to protect the world.
What was that?
To protect the world from devastation and unite all people within our nation.
No.
Like an adversarial group that kind of continually tries to steal their animals and
take their cute little yellow mouse.
Yeah.
Nope. No, but I think it'd be really fun to do like I don't know, what would that situation look like though? What would a party be doing? Like is it just like they get adventuring jobs and these groups are there with them, or is it like they're actively trying to...
I was like the your group takes a job. Your group goes to do the job and then suddenly runs into somebody who also was given the same job, and like that's not supposed to happen. So there's not a precedent for what should be done. So whoever can bring it in first will just get the reward for it.
And that's always awkward.
It is, because it was some sort of bureaucratic error somewhere, and so it's hard to fight against that.
I was gonna ask, and I know this is not really creating anything at the moment, but do you? Oh man, I lost the question. I had it. Do you something? Help me.
Believe in Santa Claus.
No. Oh, why?
There was a time when I thought I had grown too old for such a childish rhyme.
This is gonna bug me. Well, I don't have the question anymore, so I guess we move on.
Guess we move on.
Oh no.
What, as my parents would always say, it would always infuriate me. Well, if you can't remember, I guess it wasn't that important.
Yeah, my parents used to say that too. And
it's so irritating. It's so rude.
It's so
And
annoying.
they're your parents. You can't be like, no, screw you.
I know.
You just gotta take
my
it.
mom used to say that. The other one my mom used to do all the time is if I ever said I was bored, like
I can find something for you to do.
yes, she used to do that all the time. Well, there's toilets to be cleaned in the bathroom. Well, there's it's like, Mom, no, it's not why I said I was bored. Okay, I'll find something to do. I used to hate that one as a kid too. I don't know. It used to drive me nuts. Every time I would be like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. She's like, well, I can get something for you to do. Like, no, Mom. Anyways, off topic. So you're thinking more along the lines of like a group that's adventuring currently and kind of parallels the party? Do we want them to be adversarial or not?
I like the adversarial idea. I haven't done that before.
Okay. See, I've never done this either, so I have to even think how would I do that? Because I wouldn't want it to seem like everything the party does, this adversarial group is there, being an adversary to them. I feel like that would be kind of annoying and, defeats the purpose of having this special group, that you have a reoccurring theme because, you can overdo it for sure. Would it be like as part of like the main storyline that was occurring? Like, are they doing something that's opposite of what the party wants to do with the main storyline?
No. I kind of like the idea of maybe they're adversarial on side missions, and like maybe they kind of are like, maybe they eventually might need their help in the main campaign. And so maybe you make them an adversary, and then they would be a powerful ally if they eventually get to the point where they're like, we can't do this on our own.
See,
because I never think they're downright evil. I think it's purely monetary in the terms of like, hey, we want to get this like the reward for turning in this mission type thing.
See, I think how I'd want to do it is I'd want it to start out that way, where it's, you first meet them in an arena, right? Or something like that, where they're fighting at the arena doing their thing. But I love the idea of over time, you start learning about, something related to the big bad evil guy. Like there's an item that he's trying to find, or there's, he's trying to awaken some monster or whatever, And as you start uncovering these tracks, like maybe I'm going to borrow a book out of my campaign just for a second. Maybe there's like 6 things that you're trying to collect, okay? And you've been introduced to this group that's, been an adversary in small, menial ways, right? You go into arena, you fight them. They, you get a quest to go hunt a monster. They've hunted a monster, or are hunting it at the same time you're hunting it, and it's like a competition. I love those. I think those are great. But then I love the idea of, we need these 6 items to prevent blah, blah, blah from happening. And they go to get the first item, and it's not there, and it's gone, right? And over time, they start figuring out that, oh no, this other group that, has kind of been on our heels every once in a while has started getting these items in a negative way.
Can I change this a little bit?
Yeah, no, please. That's what it's for.
Okay. So what I'm thinking, I like players being important in story development.
Absolutely.
So I think depending on whether they just destroy this other party every single time, or it is off again, on again, like, oh, they won this one, we won the next type thing. Or if it's they win every single time, I think there's a different result. I think if they get destroyed every single time, then they become like purely aggressive and vindictive to the main party. But if it's like an off and on again thing, maybe they're doing it to beat them now, but they're not like they're not evil. They're just like, hey, they got told to grab these things. Why don't we grab them first? And then maybe if it's like they always win, maybe they don't grab them.
I like that. I like that little like element of, change that could occur based on, the actions of the party and the, reactions of this group based on, successes and failures and things like that. I like that a lot. So I'm totally down with that kind of thing. But I think the ultimate goal that I would like to establish, at least if we're gonna use this route as like a campaign partial idea, is having them ultimately be trying to do something that the party does not want to occur. And I like the idea too of maybe having a lord like hire them, or like a person that they look up to or something, or like hire them because like one of their items has been stolen. And you just like have these like little hints here and there that all point to that this group has been making advances to do something in the long run that is harmful to society or the world, because I think that could be really fun. And I think it would be fun to have their employer have an item that's gone missing that was stolen by these people. And so it's, you just drop things here and there that have occurred over time that all kind of ramp up to a fun like middle mid-campaign boss type thing where you're fighting another adventuring party that's like level 10 and you're level 10, right? I think that'd be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a reason why they're adversarial to the party? Besides
I think we already made it. So originally it was monetary, and then depending on how the relationship grows from there, whether they're kind or nice or whatever, I think it changes. So originally
what do you think
it's just
they'd be
business.
trying to do?
Just adventure and make money. I think they all have their own reason. I think like one is trying to help their family. Like they have like things that are outside of this bickering back and forth. They have lives.
Now, you can really be super messed up in these by like having them be super, super realistic like that. And then like having the party fight them in like an end thing where like these guys were just trying to do this to, save like their families, like they were poor or whatever. Could be really fun too.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want it to be?
What do you mean? What do I want them to be doing?
No, do you want it to be super realistic in how there's like a sob story for everything, or do you want it to be the kind of they are adventurers, so it doesn't need to be much deeper than that?
Well, if I'm taking, kind of what we've been talking about, I'd want them to be, I'd want them to be not just adventurers. I think I'd want them to be, again, maybe starting out that way, but over time, they're doing what they're doing to help save, their family or their people or their, or prevent certain situations from happening within their life. Like maybe one of them has some sort of outstanding debt to a crime organization that they're trying to fulfill. Maybe one has like a young family or something that is struggling, and they all came together with the idea of helping each other, like lift each other out, and they end up getting stuck in like a situation where we have to do this. And maybe it could be fun that towards the end, they see that this is an issue that they're having, and they even possibly join the party in stopping what they've created. Could be really fun too. So, if we were going the route of like a ritual that summons some sort of creature, maybe they were getting paid a ton to do that. Maybe they did it and they saw the problem, the things that happened and occurred, and then joined the party to stop it or help the party stop it. Like maybe, they fight off a group of people so that the party can go stop the big bad evil guy, right? Or, the mid bad evil guy. It could be, I think that could be a really fun moment where this group has been opposing them this whole time, and then at the end they realize that, oh man, this was a little bit more than what we were expecting, and they change their ways. Could be really fun. Or you could just go straight up, they're horribly evil, and this group was gaining money, gaining renown, and gaining fighting the party at every step of the way because they ultimately are evil and wanted to do bad things. You could do something like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to flesh out these people or just more concepts? I mean, it would take a long time to flesh out an adventuring party.
Yeah, and we don't have that much time. Unless you want to do it as like lukewarm opens.
Well, that could be that could be a fun Lukewarm Open to do, like make an adventuring party as part of our little series. Like we make players and characters. That could be really fun. But anyways, yeah. I don't know. I think that could be a fun concept for a campaign. I don't know if I'd want it to be the main big bad. Again, it's been done well in.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's been done well in TV shows and done well in entertainment, but.
I mean, I don't think I ever wanted them to be the main big bad ever.
Yeah.
I never thought of them in that way.
I think it could be a fun side thing that you have occurring. Here's another question, and this might be something that you don't like. What if and this could be super trippy, but what if there's a couple things I was thinking of. What if there were versions of themselves that they were fighting? That could be really interesting. Could be very, very interesting, but I don't know if I would like that for an adventuring party, but that's a really interesting concept that I've never really played on either. Or what if you made them opposites of the party? So you had a wizard, and the opposite of wizard is a barbarian, or if you wanted to do magic out like a sorcerer, or a fight, having these kind of weird differences that are fun to play on, and even maybe possibly turn it into fun little jokes here and there. Could be interesting.
I think it's ultimately I don't think it's super I don't know, unless you have a story reason for them to be different. I don't think it should be that way, if they're for them to be the opposite versions.
I don't know, I'd agree and disagree. I think it could be fun as a fun little, not joke, but a fun little concept that could be interesting. I mean, obviously you have to have limits on it, of course, but it could be fun to do something like that. Do you think?
No, it definitely could, but I think that would be fun to. It would need a reason for me.
Yeah, I mean, and I couldn't.
I like the idea of eventually having some sort of a long time in the future, finding out that for some reason someone's been trying to stop them from the very beginning, so early on. Maybe they knew what was happening, and so they, instead of creating people exactly like them, they created their exact opposites, hoping that they would cancel out and be able to kill them.
That could be very interesting and it could be a very unique concept. What about using character backstories? Have you ever you could definitely put members of people's characters' backstories into this. So a character's, if you had a PC who had a rival in their backstory, you could throw that person in this adventuring group, and that could be very interesting. Or somebody who there's their sworn enemy or that they hate. That could be super interesting.
Yeah. That would make it continually antagonistic from early on.
Yeah. You could do that, and that could be really fun. You could do I mean, honestly, I even just like the really simple they fight him in an arena, and they just are reoccurring people that are participating in the same events that they do. I love that still. I still think that's really fun. It's not really a main story element, though, but that would be super fun, too. I mean, I like to... The reason I do like adventuring parties, at least for that kind of stuff, is it's very interesting to watch the party fight people with the same class and the same ability as them. And, CR kind of doesn't really matter at that point, right? Because it's everybody's level 10, there's 5 level 10s versus 5 level 10s, and those are really brutal. If people have never done that before, I highly recommend them. They're really, really brutal because those are really, really gritty and close fights where it almost always, I mean, unless there's some sort of major strategy advantage, but there's almost always really down to the wire fights. I mean, all of my Champions Clash fights that I did where it was, they were level 3, I think, and it was level 3s versus level 3s, was just always oh my gosh, this is really brutal. Yeah. I even lost one. My party even lost one in the beginning of Champions Clash, where it's and the good thing about doing it in an arena too is if your party gets TPK'd, they don't really get TPK'd, you can TPK your party all you want in those type of things. And it doesn't matter too much. And that's the only time I've TPK'd a party, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, this group, let's summarize what we have so far.
Well, we have a group of, I don't want to say antagonistic at first, but adversaries that first kind of meet them in either an arena or like a thieving mission or something like that, where the party is directly in competition with this adversary group. And maybe you have a person from a character's backstory that's in this group to maybe add a little bit of tension or a little bit of rivalry. Over time, this competition, depending on, party choices, but turns into something a little bit more where they start noticing different clues and hints either during these competitions or outside of these competitions that point to this other group doing something that's like opposing what they are trying to accomplish. So whether that's stopping some sort of ritual or, collecting powerful magic items or, something like that. And like they go to find this powerful magic artifact, and this group has already taken it and is using it for their own gain. And then eventually it boils down to the party in this adventuring group fighting each other over stopping, something from occurring that could possibly be harmful to society. Maybe it's, summoning a creature to, appease an entity and make, save lives or, anything like that. And it kind of turns into that kind of adversarial group. And then depending on like actions throughout the campaign, it could be fun to possibly have, if this group succeeds in like summoning a creature or whatever, they realize the errors of their ways and turn and fight. Or if they really hate the party, like, maybe the party has really been like super bad to them, then it turns into a fight before, the party has to go fight this entity, which could be super fun.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to call it there for episode 86 of Dungeoneered. If you listen to us on any podcasting apps with ratings and reviews, if you write a review, it really helps the show. Really, it shows that you're engaging in more ways than just one, and kind of keeps us visible too, instead of putting us way back in the catalogs. If you'd like to write to us, you can write to us at dungeoneered@hotmail.com. We'd love to have you write about anything. We'd love to hear topic ideas or lukewarm open ideas, or just want to talk about something that we created on the show. Like, we'd love to hear about it. Anything you can add, Aaron?
Nope.
Cool. Well, as I always say, always remember to be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
I've had victory. I was determined to not have this be a problem. Victory is mine. That's all I have to say for now. Victory is mine. And bye.